This is in the Daily Mirror today. Dark night for Jokanovic, this is. It's a Darren Lewis piece. It says, manager, wait for this, has 2 games to save his job. This is Slavisa Jokanovic, the guy that brought them up brilliantly last year via the playoffs. They were absolutely sensational. But you have to say that defensively, it's been a shambles. To concede 4 to Cardiff in that game is embarrassing, as well as Cardiff played. The issue I've got with Jokanovic is that he's panicking every weekend. If you look at the
changing his back
you look at the team sheet,
or he's free at the back.
Every defensive lineup, is different game on game, and we know, Ray, you can't do that. You need stability.
No.
Oko mene I u meni je, u očima ljudi koje poznajem, u fliperu lica I ulica, glasovi, tonovi rasuti.
Otkada jesam, otkad postojim, tražim tu pjesmu da mi bude štit I prave riječi da mi budu mačeta s kojom ću sjeći sve što mi smeta. Za moje male katastrofe, što će ih biti, što ih bilo, tražim melodiju I strofe kao soundtrack za moj život. Za moje male katastrofe, što će ih biti, što ih bilo, tražim melodiju I strofe kao soundtrack za moj život.
We got more leaks in our defence than Thames Water. It was just defensive-wise, it was just clowning around. Let's call it Premiership savvy now. Those first 8 games, it didn't really matter to me because I understood you need to try and get savvy with this league. But that one against Cardiff was a killer. That was clowning. I mean, Chambers looked like a Sunday League footballer when I saw him. I mean, you can see why Arsenal's put him out on loan, because obviously he needs to gain some experience because he's got zilch by the looks of it. Beautiful goal in Schürrle, and even Sessegnon's follow-up for his goal was great. It's a shame that defence let us down, and that is a big concern, because instead of moving forward, we've moved backwards. Put it down to now, Slav's got to look at it, and the board and everyone around him, we have to look at crisis management now. I don't want to necessarily say at this stage Slav out and all that things at this moment in time. I mean, like anything, he done us proud last year. This is a different ball game Premiership that we've seen. He's made a couple of mistakes, especially against Arsenal, bringing off Green for Kamara. You can do that in the Championship, but you can't do that in the Premiership. Boy said to me, Dad, what is it with some of these Fulham fans? They just joined the bandwagon or something. They want him out all of a sudden, where a few months ago he was a be-all and end-all. I said, yeah, well, they're not. You'll normally find the Fulham supporters through and through has been through thick and thin. Fulham fans have been through hell. We've been through hell and we've come out of hell. So I said to him, don't worry about it. So I said, you know, it's so easy, like these knee-jerk reactions, and that's what you do. Yeah, and that's not saying we're not in a situation, but I still believe at this moment in time I'll give Slav 110% support, but we need to work with him. And if he believes he's the man to get us out of this, let's back him. Now, saying that though, it has to be managed correctly, because as I said, when you look at it on a paying supporter will look at this, what the hell, you know, I went to Cardiff, I saw the goals, it was a calamity, it was like a circus. That can't carry on. That's the hard facts about it.
We just need to settle down a little bit as a fan base. It's still early in the season. Yes, I know all the arguments that we should be picking up points against these teams, but there's so much knee-jerk reaction on social media. I fully get it that people come away, they spend their money, they give their time and they go to away games.
About the Slav situation, you know, a lot of people have said he's got 2 games and all that. What was your reaction when you see stuff like that?
I was horrified when I saw that and heard it. I think it's absolute rubbish. He has got a new team. All the reasons have been gone into with getting the players on board late. There are players who are not yet performing. There are players who are not yet gelling. Well, people have criticised him for an unsettled back four, and that's whilst we haven't. It's true we haven't had a settled back four. It's not been of our making. You know, we've had suspension, we've had injury. Players have not got much game time together, so we need to try and settle that down as soon as we can. You can never count for injuries, but I'd like to see a more settled back four. But we've got to perhaps not be so adventurous in midfield. Sometimes when I look at our game, the gap between the midfield and the defence is massive. When you looked at Roy's teams, they played a totally different game, not as attractive, but they had two banks of four, and it was very, very difficult to work in between those lines. Here, the opposition, when they break, have acres and acres of space. So we need to address that. There seem to be more and more fans who play video games, football games, which are great, but they are games, and it's not the real world. And so I'm 100% behind Slav. He needs time. Yeah, I get all the arguments, but at the end of the day, he needs time. And we've got a whole lot of new players who I hasten to add came in very late in the window, which wasn't totally unexpected. So it meant less time for them to gel. And some of them have not yet gelled, and we've not found the best way of playing. But there's some decent players there. But the thing which I don't understand is last year, in fact, you did a video, as I recall, earlier in the season.
But I didn't upload it.
But you didn't upload it. Oh, okay. When we were talking about the loss of Stuart Gray, and I lamented his loss because I thought last year he helped make us a very tight defensive unit compared with what we did the year before. Now, I don't know. Scott Parker's come on board. Everything comes together under the head coach, but who coaches us in defence? Is there one for the backs? Is there one for midfield? Who coaches attack and defence in midfield? Who's picked up that Stuart Gray mantle? Because I really don't know. That's something I would like to know. It'd be nice to see Fulham make clear.
Would you like to know clearly what everyone does behind the scenes at Fulham?
Very much.
In terms of the coaching staff?
Very much so. And I think that would aid understanding that it's just not one person who is doing everything. Sure, when it all comes together and they work on routines and they work on tactical plans, that all comes together, but individual coaching. You've got a goalkeeping coach, we know that, and he works with the goalkeepers, no big shock there. Who works with the defenders, who works with midfield, who works with attack? How does that work?
So I think we have to look at these next two games moving ahead, Bournemouth and Huddersfield. And yeah, we expect to get results from this, which we should do, but on the present performances, obviously we're going to have doubts about it. Football's a funny game, but I guess we need points out of this. Now, the magic mark, they say, is 40. We've got 5, we've got another 35 points to go. 29 odd games, I believe, to go. Even if we got a point a game, we still wouldn't make that 35, so we need to start getting wins. And I think if I was on the board of Fulham, I would say, Slav, we're behind you, but come on, we need to sort this. What's the issue? So we know it's defence. I think Slav as a person, he knows, he can see, he's probably saying to himself, bloody hell, what the hell's going on here? This is a killer. This league is cruel, it takes no prisoners, and I definitely say to him, give him the chance. You've now had, our season started last week against Cardiff, because the other few matches was you're getting used to this league, the strength and the speed. Now we've got to step it up. Take it in stages, and then what you do, you assess your points tally and how much. Everything's analytical as well. You've got to assess, obviously, your team. You've got to assess the points you needed, the games coming up. They do that, any football club does that anyway, what they expect from matches. However, the more matches that goes along, the harder it gets if you're not winning games. So I think the next 2 games will be very important for him. Depending on that, there should be another review again, because we've got another 4 games after that, or 2, which are very difficult. I'm not one of these people to say get him out now, get him out now. By Christmas we could be in dire straits, or by Christmas we could be okay. I'm saying by Christmas we're not going to be relaxed. We're either going to be okay or we're going to be in dire straits, and that's when some action will have to be taken. But at this moment in time, I'm saying let's stick with him and let him prove.
I think Slavisa is an outstanding coach. I think he's a bit tough at times in not changing the way he does things, but that's for him to look to, and hopefully he will do that with a few tweaks here and there, because the myth at the moment is it's the defence, and people think of a back four or back three plus keeper, and it's not just that. It's the real problems start in midfield. They're not a unit. Everything that comes down the centre. I mean, they got one goal against Cardiff. There are about 5 players involved in it, and it started with the midfield not tracking properly and allowing a diagonal run, and then a comedy of errors, yes, in the back four, but too much. We don't have proper midfield screening. Kevin McDonald provides that, but he's finding it, I think, a bit more challenging in this division. Doesn't mean he's a bad player, far from it. And Grisa's what's the word I'm looking? He's disappointed me, because for a defensive screen he loses the ball far too easily within our third of the ground when we're trying to clear our lines. He's got great strength, and sometimes I think that part of his game is just showing how strong he is, holding players off and shielding the ball, when in fact, whilst that's important, he should be looking at the wider picture and seeing what other passes are on, so he can clear our lines and set an attack going. But the midfield is not gelling, and I think that's putting far more pressure on our defence, particularly in the centre.
What challenges do Bournemouth bring this Saturday?
They're a very well drilled outfit from what I've seen. I think they've got, from memory, about 17 points from 9 games this season. Callum Wilson, they've got a very underrated player who's been talked about in the England squad, and he presents a danger. And Josh King, who usually plays just behind him. But they also have talent out wide in midfield with Ryan Fraser. And I think, from memory, Ryan Fraser and Callum Wilson are 2 of their top goal scorers this season. And then there's Jermaine Defoe, who we haven't seen very much of. I'm not sure if he's injured, but he always will present a problem. So we need to be on their game. And they have a very workmanlike midfield, and they have a good work ethic. So they present quite a threat. But it is a game that we must win.
I had to scratch my head on the back four. I know Brian's injured. I would have him in if he was fit. I would always play him. However, again, what choice have we got now? So I would have a Dorian Ring back in there. Give Fossa Mensah a run out only because of pace-wise. Pace-wise are getting up. I mean, you know, I've got Le Machon there. People talk about Christie. The problem with Christie, when he bombs up forward, he doesn't get back, or he doesn't run back quick enough to defend. So, you know, against Bournemouth, they've got some pacey wingers. And they're a tough team, Bournemouth. So, you know, I look at that and I hope that obviously Cess, I like him preferring to play more up front, because the way he scores goals is because he's got great vision. He's always there at the right time, right place. However, I would expect them to bust a gut and come back. It's going to be tiring, but the players have to bust a gut now. It's not just about playing, it's about digging in and killing yourself for 90 plus injury time minutes. So I expect Cess to come back and help out. And Gisa, I like the look of him in midfield. He's pretty tough, solid. Kenny, I mean, give Kenny a run out. I know he's been injured. If not, you know, we whack Serion. You know, depending on how Kenny contains throughout the game. Obviously, Schürrle and Vieto. Basically, Vieto to work in the hole and Mitra up front. That's the way I look at it at the moment. So it's full of opinions. That's my opinion. Whether he picks that or not, but there you go. They're on the roll at the moment. They're doing well. Whether they're last after the end of the league where they are, but they've certainly started off well. You know, I bet you're a Bournemouth fan, you think, "Whoa, what a breath of fresh air." I wish we could say the same for our team, but we'll get there one day in the Premier League. So no doubt about it. If they can do it, I'm sure we can. So it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be an easy win, but I think, as I said to you before, what we've got to do is actually work 200% now, dig in, play our game, look where we're at, and you know it comes from the top downwards. And we've got to be behind the team. We've got to be, you know, we've got to be that extra man.
You're better in any situation. Would you stick with him in goal?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think he's the best of the three keepers. Fabry, I wasn't too impressed with it at the beginning, but it's settling in time. And the other boy, Rico, I don't know. I've never seen play, but I'd most certainly stick with Betts.
Is there a reason why you'd do that?
Yeah, because a number of reasons actually. Because yes, he's still a work in progress, like a lot of goalkeepers, despite the age. Yeah, there's things that he could definitely improve on. But they've given him the skipper's armband with no Tom Kearney and with no Kevin McDonald, because he is the loudest and he is the one who directs things from the back, talks to his defence all the time, which is an important part of the game. David Button never did it by way of comparison. It was almost like he worked in a library before he came to us. But Betts, I don't blame him for a lot of this. He's had poor defence in front of him, and I emphasise by defence I mean midfield defence as well as the back four in front of him. But he still commands, and he still tries to organise them as best he can. Fonsu Mesa at right back, I think there's a lot to come from that lad, and he's a natural athlete. I've got to add a little bit here in that I would have no problems promoting Steven Sessegnon in a game against Bournemouth. Certainly, you just take it in his stride like his brother Ryan. They have similar temperaments when they play, and I've watched a lot of him in the PL2 and when he was with the under-18s, and he has a lot of qualities. I'd perhaps not use him in the big games yet, unless, like his brother, he took the bull by the horns. So there's a huge opportunity there. But at the moment, Fosu Mensah, I think I'd stick with Mawson and Tim Ream, who didn't have the greatest of games at Cardiff, but he's a quality player, we know that. And at left back, I think it would have to be at the moment, because of injuries, Le Marchand. Up front, I'd have no problems, obviously, Mitrovic.
Pete, what's just happened, Pete?
Hitchin have just scored a second goal.
In extra time.
In extra time. Looks like it could be the winner. I'm not sure how many minutes are left, but I just wanted Leatherhead to win this. Local team for me.
And they're going to the FA Cup first round, it looks like.
It looks like it, but there might be a twist in this yet.
Okay, Pete, go back to the team news. Up front?
Up front would be Mitrovic, and I like the idea of Vieto playing behind him, but I don't think we can do that, and I'll come to that in a minute. Can't do it at the moment. Ryan Sessegnon perhaps not playing so far forward, just off Mitrovic a little bit, on the left-hand side in front of Le Marchand, it would have to be Schürrle or Vieto. I'm in two minds. They both bring something to the party. But my problem, and I can't answer this right now, is midfield, because, as I said, that's the huge problem on knowing what's best, and it's how they work as a unit It's ironic, isn't it? They were a brilliant unit, the three of them last year. Absolutely superb, complemented each other. We've had to bring new players in to strengthen the overall squad. I fully understand that. But I don't know, is this midfield how it actually works and together, particularly when we haven't got the ball, and I'm struggling there big time. Jean Tigana you wanted to know about, and some of the special things that he did. Well, I could tell you a lot about the training that he did, but the thing would be, I think the substitutes was one thing. He always believed that substitute had to be ready to come on at the risk of stating the obvious. But if you watch sometimes the substitutes at various clubs, not at Fulham now, but at various clubs, and they go through the motions of warm-up, and sometimes they're just caught watching the game. And he used to send out his fitness conditioner, Roger Propos, to run alongside them along the Riverside stand and go through a series of stretches and exercises that he wanted them to do. And that continued for quite a long time until Propos and Tigana were convinced that these guys knew what was expected of them. They're not there just to do what they want, they're not there just to watch the game. And perhaps one of the players in that era who used to do a lot of that was Collins John. But I mean, that's attention to detail. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute it doesn't happen now in terms of players. They have their own warm-up routines, but it's more of a general observation in football.
Pressure, too much pressure can either break person or it can make them. People get a buzz out of pressure, people shake with pressure. So I can't say from, oh no, I like pressure. I like being under pressure to give it. So, and some people need a bit of pressure. But that depends. And Slav's a tough cookie. I don't think that'll make him. Well, he doesn't look like a guy that's going to be weak at the knees. So I think, you know, a bit of pressure didn't hurt anyone, to tell you the truth.
Well, when he first came to this club, I could see what he was trying to do, and he had some criticisms on the terraces, but not a lot. I could see what he was trying to do, and he was trying to find a formation that worked for us. He was trying to play to player strengths rather than try and create players or put them in roles that they couldn't actually perform. And I still see the same man there. I see a driven man. I see a man who deeply cares. Yeah, of course there are one or two things that need to be, we can all come up with various things that need to be done or we'd like to see, but I believe wholeheartedly in him, and I believe wholeheartedly where he's going. What is that for, referee?
It's just some simple words. I mean, I don't need to say any more that I've said. I'll say to Slav, I've got faith in you, but you know what you need to do for all of us. So let's see it. It's up to you now. Simple as that. Can't say any more.